Okay, so I was gonna. Okay, yes. Okay, how's it going, everyone? I wanted to get out like another podcast that was gonna go into Gladiator, Wicked, and all sorts of other stuff with Isaiah, but been kind of busy at the moment. Not just with him, but myself, because here I'll show you. Moved into a new place. You know, Still kind of working everything out, but yeah, um, just with that and just with our schedules, we haven't really been able to do a podcast recently, but we're going to try and do one next Friday. But in the meantime, I would kind of want to get like another video out there just for the sake of it. So I figured why not do one of my little movie collection. So that's what we're going to do. Just going to go through them and, talk about them and stuff. So, yeah. Okay, so here we go. First, we have 300. Actually, haven't seen that one, but I heard good things about it. 2012. You'll see a lot of physical copies of these at like video stores and stuff. I saw it like a long time ago, but I remember it being like really good. Kind of underrated, actually. And I have my Alien collection. This is the 6 film one, going from Alien all the way to Alien Covenant. If I had to give them like a ranking, I'd say that Alien's the best one, followed by Prometheus, Aliens, uh, Alien Covenant, Alien Resurrection, then Alien 3. I really don't like Alien 3. I feel like it's like a downgrade, like because if you binge them all, it kind of the stakes get kind of higher from Alien to Aliens, and then when you go to Alien 3, it's just like a big downgrade. If you watch it, you know what I mean. Then I got Alien vs. Predator, the double feature. The first one is pretty solid. The second one is probably the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Then I got All-Star Superman, probably the best Superman story of all time. American Hustle. It was good. I don't remember too much about it, but if you've seen like Tarantino movies and just movies like True Romance, this is very similar. I don't remember who directed this actually. Who did? Directed by David O. Russell. Huh. Okay, I don't remember too much of his other stuff. American Werewolf in American Werewolf in London. I haven't seen that yet. Andromeda Strain. Also haven't seen that yet. I have the the Angel TV show, seasons 1 to 5. I've seen the first season and I'm like halfway through the second season. The first season is really good. The second season's like okay so far. I got to see where it goes. Then we have the first Ant-Man movie, pretty solid. I kind of wish they kind of stuck to the, to how grounded everything was. Right, it very much felt like a comic book character who was, just your average guy. I kind of wish they stuck with that for the whole trilogy. Apocalypse Now, you're gonna kill me, but I actually haven't seen this. I do have the 40th anniversary edition. The only reason I haven't seen this is because it's kind of long, and I kind of have to find the right time to watch it. Argo, haven't seen it. Army of Darkness, my favorite Evil Dead movie. It's the perfect horror comedy. I mean, what else can you really say? And I have Arrival. I also haven't seen this yet. And then, all right, we got. Then we got Avatar, the first one. I saw the re-release of this in theaters. It was very solid, like really good. Surprisingly good. This was like the exact opposite. I saw this when it came out and I was very disappointed. Literally like 13 years just to make the exact same movie. The first Avengers. I think this is like my generation's Star Wars. And yeah, I mean, it's iconic in every way imaginable. I love it. Age of Ultron, a movie that was basically a big teaser for this movie, Infinity War. A lot of people love this movie. I think it's a little overrated. I tend to prefer the earlier Marvel movies a little bit more, but I think this definitely provided the big payoff that people wanted. And speaking of payoff, a great conclusion to the first three phases of the MCU. Then we have Baby Driver, one of my favorite action movies of all time. I love the editing. I love how fast paced this is. I could rewatch it any day of the week. It's just amazing. We have Back to the Future, the first three movies. The first two are great. The third one's good, but I don't think it's nearly as iconic as the first two. Then I have Bad Boys 1 through 3. I do not have 4, even though I actually saw 4 earlier this year, and I think it's probably the best out of the entire franchise. But if I had to rank these, I'd probably say it goes 1, 2, 3. I like the first one the most, and I think the other two sequels kind of lack in comparison. Then I got the 4 Batman movies, the 2 Keaton ones, and then the one with Kilmer and Clooney. I actually haven't seen Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Well, I mean, I guess that's a lie. I mean, I have seen them, but it's just been a long time, and I don't really remember it. But the first 2 Batman movies, I think are good, but I think it's largely because of the villains. I don't think Keaton is that good of a Bruce Wayne or Batman, in my opinion. I think the first 2 are really just carried by the villains. And then here we have The Batman. This, I think, was just like Batman in the comics. It was honestly one of the best Batman movies I've ever seen, but at the same time, I feel like Robert Pattinson wasn't that great of a Batman. I mean, even here, I don't really like how he looks. Then we have Batman Bad Blood. I'm making my way through the New 52 movies. I actually haven't seen that one yet. Batman Beyond. I have not seen this show yet, but I hear great things about it. This is like a throwback to the old Adam West Batman movies. This is animated. It's good, but you kind of have to like the Adam West Batman to really enjoy it. The Dark Knight Returns, parts 1 and 2. Just an amazing Batman story, one of the best ones ever told. I think The Dark Knight Returns, along with All-Star Superman, is kind of... I would say that The Dark Knight Returns and All-Star Superman, on a side note, are probably one of the best Elseworld, like 2 of the best Elseworld stories ever. And it just kind of goes to show, why Elseworld stories work and why they get adapted so many times. You really have to watch these 2 to really understand what I mean, but yeah. Anyway, what's after that? We got Batman Hush. Actually, I haven't seen this yet, but I read the comic. It's a great story about Batman and Catwoman. I think the villain here is only meh. Mask of the Phantasm, the 4K edition. This is probably the greatest Batman movie of all time, right next to the Pattinson version. Everyone is iconic in this movie, acting how they're supposed to act, looking how they're supposed to look. That's one of the great things about animation when it comes to comic book adaptations. I think animated movies just tend to be better. Anyway, Batman vs. Robin. I don't think I've seen this one yet, actually, because I've only watched like a couple of the New 52 movies, but I'm going to, right? Batman v Superman. They tried. But they failed. That's all I'll say about that. Batman Year One. And again, another great adaptation of an iconic Batman story. Beetlejuice. Really funny. It's a pretty crazy movie with a really crazy premise. And if you gave me the pitch on paper, I don't know if it would really work, but just seeing it in execution, it's just brilliant. Belko Experiment. I haven't seen this one yet, but I hear good things because I think James Gunn was involved with that movie. We got Beverly Hills Cop. Turn it around here. Beverly Hills Cop, the 3-movie collection. I like all of these. I know some people aren't a big fan of the second and third, but I saw them recently and I think they're pretty solid. I have not seen the 4th yet on Netflix, but I hear that one is a nice nostalgia film for the first one. Big. You're going to kill me, but I actually haven't seen Big. What we got? Birdman, another movie that I want to see, but just haven't gotten the chance to watch yet. Black Panther, again, this is also backwards. A really good movie looking back on it. And just on a side note, I think it's really sad that no one has decided to do anything about the T'Challa character for the MCU. I mean, if I were Marvel, I would have recast him, but at the same time, I kind of understand why they didn't. But again, just going back to Black Panther, it's a great movie. Highly recommend. The Blade trilogy. The first two are awesome. The third one really sucks. Blade Runner, an iconic film. Just so many great philosophical conversations it brings up. I couldn't recommend this one more. Blues Brothers. This is a wild movie. I should do a whole video on this movie. It's just really crazy. I mean, it is a funny movie, but it's also insane with what some of the characters do in that film. I'm gonna switch my hands for a sec. And then we have Braveheart. I haven't seen this. Then we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Before Buffy, I forgot about this one. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. A great science fiction film. Not a lot of people know about it, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you would know that this movie is super crazy. And, you know, there's a bunch of crazy concepts in here, and it's just a lot of fun. You may not totally understand everything about it on your first watch, but if you give it a few, if you watch it at least more than once, you'll kind of grow to appreciate it, even though it's a little confusing upon your first viewing. Anyway, now we're on to Buffy. I have seen all the seasons of this show, 1 through 7. It's a little cheesy, but it's really quite fun to watch. There's a lot of unexpected things that happen in this show. And one thing I love about Buffy is that you'll have a bunch of characters that kind of get introduced and you'll think they're kind of boring at first, but then you'll have a lot of like really crazy revelations about their characters as the show goes on, right? Like you'll be introduced to some people and you'll think, oh, this is just, a stereotypical boyfriend, or, oh, this is just, your stereotypical best friend character. But as the show goes on, they kind of play with those stereotypes and they twist it, and, they make the characters just a lot more interesting. So yeah, highly recommend this show. And then we have Castaway, which I haven't seen, Captain America: The First Avenger, a really awesome movie. And, for a character that really shouldn't have worked, they end up doing a great job with it, and I was thoroughly impressed. Candyman, a little overrated, but again, Tony Todd gives an amazing performance, and he's really good. Cabin in the Woods, haven't seen this yet. Central Intelligence, a really funny movie from the mid-2010s. I would highly recommend it. Chasing Amy, probably my least favorite Kevin Smith movie, of the ones that I've seen anyway. Because again, like, it's part of like his View Askew universe, but at the same time, it's not really a comedy, so it kind of feels out of place. Children of the Corn, haven't seen this yet. I've only seen clips, but from what I saw, it's really good. So first we have the Chucky 7 movie collection. These are some pretty interesting movies. I think like the first two are like classic 80s horror movies. The third one's like okay, a little forgettable. 4 and 5 are really weird. I mean, I gotta be honest, they're like some of the weirdest movies that I've probably ever seen. Like, they're so weird, it gets to the point where you have to ask, was the writer high? I mean, it's weird. And then the last two are like direct-to-DVD horror movies. I mean, you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, if you watch horror movies, you know what I mean. Clash of the Titans, pretty good, but it's a little overrated. Clerks, I think this is like one of the best comedies of all time. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I got this 30th anniversary Ultimate Edition. It's a little thick. I like it. You got this art on the back. Really, really fun movie. It's basically like um, the life of a conspiracy theorist, right? Of someone who's trying to prove to his family that aliens are real, right? And like no one believing him and people thinking that he's crazy. It's a great movie. Cloverfield. I actually haven't seen this yet, but I've seen a lot of clips of it. Same with 10 Cloverfield Lane. Commando. I think this is like one of the greatest action movies ever made. A lot of people would disagree with me on that. I don't care. Coming to America. Haven't seen that one yet. Con Air. This is just a really fun, like, 90s action movie. If you like Nicolas Cage, if you like John Cusack, have fun. Conan the Barbarian. I've only seen one out of the two movies. I think the first Conan movie is super violent, super awesome. I'm a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. I think there's some iconic scenes in here, right? From like the opening scene of this movie to what happens at the end. Again, I'm not going to ruin it if you haven't seen it. This is a really fun anime movie. The action is superb on a whole nother level. The characters are great. If you love the show, you're going to love that. Creed, a great transition from Rocky to Apollo Creed's son. It's just, again, I think this movie is just as good, if not better, than the original Rocky. Creed 2, it's not as good as the first, but still enjoyable. The Dark Crystal, I actually haven't seen that. The Dark Knight trilogy. I think all of these movies are damn near perfect. I think the casting in this trilogy that not a lot of people talk about, I think they're all perfect in their roles. Like Christopher Nolan, like nailed it. Days of Thunder. This is the car version of Top Gun. The first Deadpool movie, a great adaptation of a really wild comic book character that you wouldn't think would translate as well into a live-action R-rated raunchy superhero movie, but it does, and it does it very well. Deadpool 2, pretty much more the same, except you got more characters from the X-Force comic books, along with Cable, and Josh Brolin was fantastic as Cable. I hope he comes back in the future. Deadpool and Wolverine. This feels more like an SNL skit than a movie, but at the same time, it doesn't make it any less enjoyable. Now we're on to the D's. I got the Dexter complete series along with New Blood. I've only seen about the first season and about half of the second season. I hear it doesn't end that well, but I know they're making a sequel series, so I figured I might as well jump on. I'll probably talk about this show once I've seen more of it. I have the Die Hard Steelbook collection. I got to put some glue on this. But I've only seen the first 4 movies. I've heard the last movie is god-awful, so I'll probably avoid it. But I think a lot of these movies are pretty good. There isn't really one that I hate. Again, I haven't seen 5. But I think one that's kind of underrated is Die Hard 4. It has a really interesting premise with technology, and it kind of gets involved in all that. I haven't seen it, but I'm talking about Die Hard 5. But Die Hard 4, great movie if you haven't seen it. Dirty Dancing, iconic 80s movie. District 9, I actually haven't seen that one. Django Unchained by Quentin Tarantino. This movie is amazing, and I don't think with Quentin Tarantino movies, part of the reason they're so good is because you don't really see anything like it anywhere else. It just makes all of his movies very unique in terms of what, the stories are, what the characters do, what they say, right? It's just iconic in every sense of the imagination. We have Doctor Strange, an amazing origin story. Again, I don't feel like people talk about this movie that much, but it really is just a great origin story. And then I have the Doctor Who DVDs. I haven't seen this show yet, but I plan to in the future. I have like all of these 3 Doctor seasons or whatever. Do the Right Thing. I do not think he did the right thing in this movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Dracula, a really crazy film. When I first watched this movie, I didn't really know what to expect, but this is truly it's a masterpiece of cinema. If you haven't seen it,
go watch it. Then I have the Dragon Ball DVD collection. I got season 1. Here, I'll show you. Season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I have Z Kai. I haven't seen these yet, but I've heard that... there, you can see it right there. I've heard that the Dragon Ball... I've heard that it's better to watch Dragon Ball Z Kai over Dragon Ball Z, because Kai gets rid of a lot of the filler. I got this like on $60 on eBay, so it's kind of a harder find, but there you go. I'm gonna watch these soon, like this, Dexter, Doctor Who. I'm gonna watch all these, and I'll probably talk about them sometime in the future. Dread is a badass movie, really dope. Drive. If you haven't seen this, this is a big recommendation. I didn't know how much I would like this because I saw Baby Driver beforehand, and I was like, this is going to be the same. No, this is actually quite different, and I think it's really good. Dune on 4K, and then Dune Part 2 on 4K as well. I think Dune Part 2 is honestly like The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, Dune 2 kind of reminds me like of The Empire Strikes Back in terms of its tone and how much the story changes compared to Dune Part 1. Because when I saw the first Dune, I thought it was good, but I didn't feel like enough happened in it. With Dune Part 2, I was just really impressed with everything. I think the story moved forward in ways that I wouldn't have imagined, because I'm not really a book reader, but I plan to read the book soon. But yeah, Dune, the first Dune is kind of like a preview for what Dune 2 is. So just think of it like that. Dune Part 1 is like the preview. Dune 2 is where all the action goes down, and it's epic. Then we have Live, Die, Repeat / Edge of Tomorrow. This is probably one of the best Tom Cruise movies I've ever seen. Enter the Dragon, one of the best martial arts movies I've ever seen. The Equalizer. It's basically John Wick if John Wick was an old guy and couldn't move around a lot. John Wick if he was old and couldn't move around a lot, Part 2. A really underrated movie that I would highly recommend. It's a really cool premise and a lot of great action. Then we have E.T., the Extraterrestrial, an iconic family film. Everything Everywhere All at Once on 4K. This is a really awesome movie. It kind of plays like an indie art house film with a big budget. So if you're into like indie movies and you want to see what an indie director could do if they had a bigger budget, watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. Then we have Excalibur, which I actually haven't seen yet. The Expendables 1, 2, and 3. I haven't seen these, but I plan to very soon. Face Off, in my opinion, is one of, if not the greatest action movie ever made, like right next to Commando. I think, Commando and Face Off, those are like my two favorite action movies. Fargo, iconic script here, the Coen brothers, it's amazing. Fast and Furious, the 9-movie collection. I don't have Fast X yet. I'm kind of debating on whether or not I should actually get that. But I think these movies are fun. My favorite is probably the 5th one, followed up by the first one. I think there's some overrated movies in here, like Furious 7, along with Fast 6. But again, the franchise is kind of a mixed bag for me. I think when they try to go over the top, that's kind of when they lose me. I like it when it's more grounded and the motivations are more realistic. But yeah.
Okay, so up next we have The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis. Pretty good. I don't know if I'd watch it again. It's a little too weird for my taste. I'm not going to talk about that movie. Haven't seen it yet, but really want to. Got Flash Gordon. Again, another classic 80s movie that I want to see, but I haven't got to. Same with Fletch. But here we have the Friday the 13th collection, the deluxe deal. It has all 12 movies, right? There actually aren't 13 movies. But yeah, as you can see, we got the first one all the way up to the remake.
And I've seen most of them, all the way up to the remake. So, yeah. Anyway, after this, we got The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, The Great Gatsby, Ghost, Ghostbusters 1 and 2. I think they're both pretty good. Some people dunk on Ghostbusters 2, but I enjoy both. Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think this is a great third movie. The other one doesn't exist. Ghost in the Shell on 4K. Really good, but you kind of have to watch it multiple times in order to understand it. And then we have G.I. Joe, the complete series. This is a show I got because I kind of wanted to get into Transformers and G.I. Joe at the same time. Again, I haven't seen this yet, but I plan to very soon. I got the first G.I. Joe movie, The Rise of Cobra. It's super cheesy, but a lot of fun. Again, haven't seen this yet. Got Gladiator. Almost dropped that. Gladiator, the 4K Steelbook edition. This is a classic. I love it in every sense of the word. Yeah, it's amazing. We got Glengarry Glen Ross, classic movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. The Godfather trilogy, the Omerta edition. This is, again, it is the best movie trilogy of all time. Some people don't like the third one. I do. I don't care. I love it. Godzilla, kind of a boring movie, but, you know, it has its fans. The Goonies, classic 80s movie. Green Lantern, I don't really care about this movie, but I love Hal Jordan. Another Green Lantern movie, yeah. Again, I love Hal Jordan. Gremlins 1 and 2. These are really fun movies, you know, to watch like during Christmas or Halloween or whatever. The Grudge, haven't seen this yet, but I love Sarah Michelle Gellar, so I'm going to watch it soon. Guardians of the Galaxy, a really fun, just badass movie. It kind of reminds you of like an 80s film if it was made today. Halloween, classic Jamie Lee Curtis horror movie. I got it on 4K. Got Halloween 2. Haven't seen this yet. Harry Potter, the complete 8-film collection. I haven't seen these in a while, and I think it's due for a rewatch. Hellboy, the first one, really fun, really badass. I'd recommend it. Have not seen Hellboy 2 yet. Highlander. This is a wild movie with a crazy premise, but it totally works. Home Alone, it's classic. This is backwards. Yeah, Hot Tub Time Machine, a very funny movie if you haven't seen it. Here we go. Howard the Duck, haven't seen this, but I hear terrible things about it. Hunger Games, a really great movie series. Although I don't know why they're trying to continue it. I feel like it kind of ended on a good note. I Am Legend, haven't seen this yet. Inception, another movie I have backwards. Have the little, like a 3D disc, yeah. This, in my opinion, is probably one of Christopher Nolan's best movies. Then we have the Hulk. I have the green case, the Incredible Hulk. This is, I think it's good, but it's a little boring, you know, especially for a Hulk movie. Hopefully they do more with these characters in the new Captain America movie. Then we got Indiana Jones, the 4-movie collection. I love all 4 of these movies, except for the 5th one, which is why I don't have it. Inglourious Bastards, a great retelling of history in a way that kind of subverts the facts, but it's really fun. In the Line of Fire, if you like Clint Eastwood, you like that movie. Independence Day, I watch this once a year because it is the best 4th of July movie. I mean, you can't beat Independence Day. First Iron Man, kicked off the MCU. I mean, what else is there to say that hasn't already been said? Iron Man 2, some people don't like this movie. I really love it. Same with this. Iron Man 3, I think it's great. It, the miniseries, this is fun. I don't think it holds up as well as it would like to, but it's still a great thing to watch. Jackie Brown, kind of an underrated movie by Quentin Tarantino. I think it's one of his best, with a great soundtrack. The James Bond 30-film collection. I love these movies. You know, some of them are kind of cheesy, but they're a lot of fun. Let's see what we got down here. Here we go. No Time to Die. I haven't seen it yet. Jaws, the first Steven Spielberg blockbuster. It is a classic. This is hilarious. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. If you like movies, comics, and Kevin Smith movies, that's a movie for you. John Wick, one of the best action movies ever made. Same with 2 and 3. And then you got 4, right? I got all 4 on 4K. But John Wick Chapter 4, in my opinion, is the best action film that has come out probably of all time. It is a work of art. Speaking of a work of art, we have Joker by Joaquin Phoenix and Robert De Niro, directed by Todd Phillips. It is an amazing movie. I know the sequel got some flack, but I don't think it diminishes the quality of the first one, even though I personally like the sequel. Then we have Justice League, the complete series. This also includes Justice League Unlimited. This is a classic series. If you're trying to get into DC, I would highly recommend this show. Then we got Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1, 2, and 3. These are backwards. I don't know why they like that. But yeah, I got the 3-part deal to Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think Part 1 is great. The other 2 parts are kind of lacking because they deviate from the comic storyline a little bit. Justice League Gods and Monsters. I've not seen this one. A New Frontier is a classic DC film. Highly recommend it. Throne of Atlantis. It's a really great adaptation of the New 52 story. Same with Justice League War. Haven't seen Justice League vs. the Fatal 5 yet, but I plan to. Justice League vs. Teen Titans. A really fun movie. If you like the New 52. The Zack Snyder Justice League 4K edition. This is good, but I feel like you don't really need the Cyborg origin story. It feels like Justice League with Cyborg in it, you know? If you took that out, I think you probably would have been able to have been released. I just think the Cyborg thing kind of knocks it down a bit. And we have Jurassic Park, the Ultimate Trilogy. I think the first 2 are great. The third one is not so good. We got Jurassic World. I think this movie is on par with the first. Yeah, I don't think it's better, but it's the sequel. It's like it was the first sequel after the original to actually match the quality of the first one. And we have, man, why are all these backwards? Damn. Fallen Kingdom. Again, I don't think it's as good as Jurassic World. But it was enjoyable. We have this one, which sucks, but I'm a completionist, so I got it. Alright, I'm going to be moving by a little bit quicker here. We got Kick-Ass. Kill Bill 1 and 2. Great movies. Kingsman: The Secret Service. Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Kong Skull Island, like this more than the Peter Jackson one. Kroll, great movie. Labyrinth. La La Land should have won the Oscar instead of Moonlight. The Last Duel. The first season of The Last of Us. Les Miserables. Last Samurai, awesome Tom Cruise movie. Lethal Weapon collection, I like the first 3, not 4. Logan, a great ending to this character until they brought him back. Logan's Run. Looper, a great movie by Rian Johnson. Lord of the Rings, extended editions, a fantastic trilogy. Lost Boys. The Mad Max quadrilogy, including Fury Road, amazing movies. Mallrats, hilarious. Man on Fire. They got Man of Steel. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. The Matrix 4-movie collection with the Animatrix instead of the Matrix 4. We have Mission Impossible, the 6-movie collection on Blu-ray and 4K. The 30-film Universal Classic Monsters collection. We have Mortal Kombat Legends. The Mummy Trilogy. National Treasure. Neighbors. New Mutants. The Nightmare Before Christmas. The Nightmare on Elm Street. Oblivion, Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. We have Office Space, Once Upon a Time in America, Outlander. I got this movie thinking it was Highlander by accident. Over the Top, Stallone. You have Pearl, Pet Sematary, all the Planet of the Apes movies, all the old ones, the original Beneath, Escape, Conquest, Battle, and then we got the new trilogy, right? We got Rise. All the way to War. We have Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Platoon, Predator, the 4-movie collection, Princess Bride, Pulp Fiction, it's a classic, The Punisher, Ready Player One, Requiem for a Dream. I can only watch this movie once. It's a very hard watch. And Reservoir Dogs. And we have Rio Bravo, Quentin Tarantino's favorite movie. Got Roadhouse, RoboCop, The Rock, The Rocky Collection, The Rush Hour Collection, Saving Private Ryan on 4K, Say Anything, Scream 1 through 3, you got Scream 4, Scream 5, Scream 6, Serenity, 7, Shape of Water, Shazam, Sicario, Slumdog Millionaire, Smile, Snatch, Songbird, and Son of Batman. Alright, then we have Stand By Me, Starship Troopers, Sweeney Todd, all the Spider-Man movies going from 1 to 2, we have 3, The Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. As you can tell, I really like Spider-Man. I think my favorite one is obviously Across the Spider-Verse, along with Into the Spider-Verse. And I also like the original Sam Raimi trilogy. And honestly, looking back, you know, you really got to appreciate these movies because they really are pretty comic accurate compared to something like the Fox X-Men movies. So kudos to Sam Raimi for making a very comic accurate film, especially in the early 2000s. It was a big risk, but I think, yeah, I mean, they really hold up today. And where are we at? Then we got Stargate, the Star Trek 10 movie collection, which includes the original and next-gen movies. J.J. Abrams' Star Trek Into Darkness. This movie gets a lot of hate, but I think it's okay. And Star Trek Beyond, Steelbook. I think this one is probably better than these two because I think this, while it's flawed, it at least gets the characters right. So, there you go. Then we have my Star Trek Show edition. We have Star Trek The Original Series. Have this on Steelbook, all 3 seasons, along with the episode guide right here. Let's leave that there. And Star Trek The Next Generation on Blu-ray. We have a DS9. I'm currently watching that right now. Voyager, I've yet to watch that. And then we have Star Wars, the complete saga from George Lucas. We got The Force Awakens. Oh, have this out of order. Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. I actually do like this movie. It gets a lot of hate, but I think it really elevated Luke's character. Rise of Skywalker, I agree with everyone else. The movie sucks. Rogue One, probably the best Disney Star Wars movie to have come out ever since they bought it. Solo, another movie that gets a lot of hate, but I think it's alright. Then we have Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad. This is a good movie. This one I got as a gift. So I think that tells you all you need to know. Alright. We have a Superman, the motion picture anthology. I've seen the first 3, not 4 for obvious reasons. Superman versus the Elite. I think this is the best Superman movie that we've ever had. Swingers, haven't seen that yet. Ninja Turtles, 4-movie collection. The Michael Bay movies. Terminator 1 through 4. T2 is like the second best action movie ever made, right behind John Wick 4. Thor the Dark World, Thor Ragnarok. I think the Thor movies are pretty good. For me, it goes like 3, then 1, then 2. And then 4 is like probably after 2. 3 Billboards. Tombstone. Tomb Raider. Top Gun. This is a classic. Transformers, the series. We got Troy. First season of True Detective. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend. You don't have to watch the whole show. Each season, it's its own story. True Romance. Underrated, and it's amazing if you haven't seen it. It's like a Tarantino film, basically. Then we have Twister. It's a fun movie, but, you know, not like amazing or anything. Under Siege. The Usual Suspects. V for Vendetta. And Warcraft, a pretty good video game adaptation. Alright, here we are at the final few movies. We have Watchmen, the director's cut. Really accurate depiction of the graphic novel. Wall Street, Greed is Good. I love this movie. Waterworld, the Arrowhead edition. This is the Ulysses cut. And it's pretty hard to find a copy of this. I had to search everywhere. I finally found a copy on eBay. But, yeah, it's a fun movie. The only bad thing about it is that, like, I feel like Kevin Costner is, like, the most unlikable protagonist you could ever, like, meet in this movie. It's really weird. But if they made the character more likable, I think people would like this movie a lot more. We have Wedding Crashers right here. Westworld, The Whale with Brendan Fraser. This is an amazing movie. I think the year it came out, it was probably my favorite movie. White Man Can't Jump. Wonder Woman. Love the case here. I have X-Men, the animated series, volumes 1 and 2. I don't have the other volumes yet. But this is a great series, and I absolutely love the new show, X-Men 97. So it made me get these movies, the X-Men and Wolverine collection, and like I was saying with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, you kind of find out how good they are after you watch, these X-Men movies, and you realize how unlike the comics these movies are. But with that said, Hugh Jackman's great, and the cast does a good job. It's just, I felt like the overall creative vision just wasn't where it needed to be, and I don't think they had, the technology at the time to really make the X-Men work. And I think if they tried it now, it would probably be a lot better and a lot more accurate to the comics. Because again, you see this, right? And it's like, this is how they're supposed to be, right? So you have that, and then there's that. So, yeah. With that said, after this we have Days of Future Past. Probably, honestly, this might be like one of the few good live-action X-Men movies. I got the Rogue cut because I wanted to see what they added with Rogue, but it's not much. So if you're waiting to get this specific cut, it's not really worth it. X-Men Apocalypse, they tried. And remember how I said they tried with X-Men Apocalypse? Yeah, they didn't try with that. And then after this, we have what? Zombieland? Yeah. It's a fun movie, but nothing special. So, yeah. Anyway, that is my Blu-ray collection. Yeah. So, yeah, I recorded this over over a bunch of different days because I couldn't just do this in one go around. But yeah, if you guys want me to do individual reviews of some of these movies, then just let me know and I'll go ahead and do them. So yeah, there you go, my Blu-ray collection.